Ahoy hoy everybody, and welcome to another Borderlands 3 video. Today we're going to be showing off a build that I've been working on for Zane. Now we're going to be running the Maliwan takedown and talking a little bit about the build as we go, and then we'll break down the skill trees and the gear in a little bit more detail at the end. So let's get this started. The inspiration for this build and sort of what I wanted to do is I really wanted to find a build that works really well with the clone. A lot of builds at the moment are using either the barrier and the cannon or just something else. So yeah, I really wanted to be able to use the clone and show off sort of what really works well. It still absolutely wrecks, so it's pretty good. And we are using the cannon as well and the new skill tree. So one thing that obviously is very strong for Zane usually is the blue tree. And today we are not going to be running with the blue tree. We're actually going to be running, well, a little bit with the blue tree, but not as much as you might think. We really just want to get down to seeing dead, which we'll break down in a minute. But this build has a very simple philosophy. You basically will go near enemies, spam your action skill and freeze them, deploy your clone, and destroy. That's kind of it. It's great for mobbing. It works for bossing as well. I find that this build is pretty powerful for pretty much everything that you need to do. You do need to pretty much continuously spam your action skill, but you'll kind of see that that's really not a problem. And what you do need to know is that your clone will go down, and you need to be, I guess, okay with that. So at the moment my clone is down, but you'll see it comes back super quick, and as soon as it's back you deploy it, and yeah, it basically just shreds from there. We're already through. I was running this before and I did go down, so that's why there is some gear there, so just ignore that and pretend that this is the first time running it and that it's pretty good and that there's absolutely zero problems wrong with this build. Survivability is a bit of an issue at times. You do need to continuously be doing damage to be able to really stay alive. But with the freezing the enemies consistently, it's generally not too much of a challenge to do so. We're just sort of waiting for our clone to go down so that we can deploy him in a little bit. I find that that's kind of the issue, is that when the clone goes down, it's not that big of an issue when it goes down. It's more if you're moving on to new areas, particularly within the Maliwan takedown, without the clone, particularly this area. I find that that's bad. So we definitely want to be able to have the clone ready to go from the start of this. And it works really well for this here. We're going to be using, our main weapon that we're giving the clone is a shock weapon. So you'll see that they have pretty much gone instantly. And because it's the same weapon that we're using, we're just using the radiation mode from it. It's a Maliwan weapon, obviously. It's the new plasma coil that's in the new DLC. And I gotta say, this thing, like, absolutely shreds, as you can see. Yeah. These guys will be down pretty quick. Now, this isn't the strongest build for Zane. You would see those on some other Borderlands channels, but they also have god tier rolls on their gear. You'll see that the gear I'm using is not even good. I have some good rolls on the guns itself, but other than that, everything else is kind of garbo. So he's down his phase, which is awesome. Should be some people up here. Yep, cool. If anyone knew what happened just then, you know, props to you, because that was just a big flash of lights and then the whole thing was destroyed, so. You can see that Zane does some insane damage. There are other guns that, of course, work on this build as well. We're just going to be doing the takedown on this one there, and we might even head to like Athena's or something and show some of the modding off with some of the other weapons as well, because it is actually really good still. Ooh, my clone is gone. I've got to put it back up. Yeah, that's kind of the thing. You just have to remember to get the clone up because you're not really extending your action skills, but I find that there is really no need to. We're going to just ignore all that gear in the interest of time and move straight on to the next area. As Lorelei said, we're going to keep moving. Alrighty. Almost slid into that barrel there. That would have been embarrassing. Just like blowing that one up is embarrassing as well. Cool. But you can do insane amounts of damage with this build. It really is a lot of fun. And to be honest, I just really like using the clone. It's just something different. I've tried some of the other builds and they're a lot of fun. But there's nothing quite like standing there watching someone else do all the work. It's like having a, well, slave isn't probably the right word, so it's like having a employee, I guess. I'm just gonna stop talking because I had both shit analogies. Alright. The good thing about the Metal 1 takedown is, to be honest, you can kind of just ignore a lot of this. God damn it. I think I've been cryoed there. There we go. Alright. Pretty much just ignore all of that and run through to the kind of this end part where the gate is. The key is to try and stay alive when you've done that, so I've kind of just done that and we'll be deploying the clone pretty much immediately when we get to about the middle here, and that way it can help me mob some of this stuff. But you can see as we start to flash a lot of our action skill, we're going to be freezing something, taking out these death stairs pretty much as a priority. These things are annoying. Perfect.
Damn Canon! It's possible you picked the wrong button.
Man, the radiation effect really does just muddy up the screen, doesn't it? Awesome. Fantastic. So, the good thing is that you're not fully reliant on the clone for damage. You can do damage, you know, just on your lonesome with no problems. But then having the clone there just allows you to speed it up a few things. To allow him to do a lot of the work for you. You know what I mean? Like, especially when you're mobbing for stuff like this. It's really fantastic. Yeah, see, they're all just gone. Where is this guy? There we go. Oh, we've already killed those badasses. We can just run through. So, action skills pretty much restored and ready to go. Now we're ready to take on the big boy.
Now that is definitely your target. Light that giant bastard up.
Good looking bullet sponge.
So while you're kind of working on Wotan, you kind of want your clone up as much as possible through this fight, yeah, because you have a tendency to very occasionally go down, but that's, you know, that's just part of it. But if you have your clone up, I find that you really don't go down because he's doing enough damage to consistently heal you. And if he's firing on Wotan too, you know, yeah. You just want to like sit still for a minute there, buddy. We should be a-okay. Alright, that should be the end of him. Takedown confirmed. That's it. So that was pretty easy. Obviously, I went down a little bit there. But look at all this glorious, glorious loot. I'm sure at least some of it is good, but we're not really going to be having a look at what we got here. It kind of wasn't the point of the video. So let's break down this build and let's talk about what I picked and why did I pick, or not pick, rather, some of the things in this build, and what would I sub out if I was going to get some better gear. So let's take a little bit of a look at the gear that we have here. There's some other guns, and we'll do a little bit of showing of Athena's with some of these other guns later, so you can actually have a look. But some of the guns that I would recommend for this build is the Dark Army. One of the reasons I recommend the Dark Army is you get these nice little drones that accompany you, and when you actually summon your clone, you'll see that he actually gets the drones as well. So you basically just have this army of drones out that can destroy. It's pretty fun. We'll show it off in a little bit. But definitely the Dark Army is a fantastic thing. The Light Show, it's just a great weapon. You've probably heard it before, but the Light Show is phenomenal. I have a non-elemental one. I would like an elemental one, but I have the bonus 2 max incendiary damage. Speedloading Hellwalker, again, top tier weapon. You know, it's pretty easy to recommend and use this device. Oh, sorry, not device. To use this gun. Then we have the Plasma Coil, which was the thing that I basically ran through the entire Malawan takedown with. It is a very, very good weapon. It comes from the DLC of Arms Race, so you do need that to be able to get it. But the whole philosophy of using this weapon is that you can deploy it. It'll always give your clone the shock variant, and you have yours set to radiation. And when you're taking on enemies with shield, you know, the clone will be able to sort of take those out pretty quickly, and then you can use the radiation on whatever is left. So that's why I really like this weapon for this build in particular, because I feel like it really works well. For all the anointments, I have been going for the action skill end anointments and getting the bonus 2 mags, or on action skill end, weapon damage is increased by 100% for a short time. Those are generally the ones I'm going for at the moment on all my weapons. And on my grenade as well. I just have the hot spring on just because I got it from the Arms Race DLC and I wanted to use it. But you can really use any grenade as long as it has an anointment on it. We are using the Frozen Heart. You can use the Frozen Snowshoe as well. Same sort of shield. Essentially, when you are depleting this shield, you release a Nova, a Cryo Nova that deals a little bit of damage, but more importantly, freezes enemies. And the anointment that you need on this, and you really 100% have to have it, is on action skill start, activate any effect that triggers on shield break or fill. And this essentially means that every time that you shoot your Mantis Cannon, you'll be sending out the Cryo Nova to freeze enemies. You can freeze them and then easily go for the critical hit, or even just to have a non-moving target. For the class mod, we are using Seeing Dead. Not a good one, as I said, but Seeing Dead nonetheless. You can also use the Secret Spy. I have been trying it out. I would like to get a better one before I can really, I guess, highly recommend it. But, I mean, much the same. We're not really trying to keep up our action skills for too long, because the whole idea is that the cooldown is so quick that you're able to just basically get them up straight away. For the artifact, we're going to be using the anything Snowdrift. I just like to move around fast, to be honest. Nothing on this artifact is good. I need a better one. You can also use the Pearl of Ineffable Knowledge to give you some bonus damage as you go. You know, there's some other good weapons as well for Zane. There's the Redistributor. There's, you know, the Cass I found is pretty good. Different sort of Dark Armies that I've got here. These are just things I've been picking up, so this isn't necessarily that I recommend it. The Tizzy is fantastic to give the clone because you don't have to worry about ammo. So what I would generally do is give the clone the Tizzy, and then I'd swap to another lap weapon and let him just melt everybody around. We can show that off maybe later if you like. But yeah, lots of things will work, to be honest. He's he's pretty overpowered, so you can kind of use whatever you like on Zane. My recommendation is that you just try a bunch of different guns. Let's take a quick look at the skill trees there. I won't talk too much about everything, but we've got Meta Focus, and this will give you increased accuracy and handling. Always good to have, so maxing out that skill. Headman's Hand, giving us increased critical hit damage. You absolutely 100% need this, and this effect stacks twice. You really, really want that. 5 points in there. 5 points into Commitment as well, which increases gun damage and action skill cooldown rate. That's how we're able to get the clone back so quickly. I've just put Fugitive on there mainly because I like running and shooting. I don't always aim down sights, so I do like having the options of being able to sprint and shoot at the same time. We've got 5 points into Domino Effect, and this is essentially every time you score a critical hit, you gain increased fire rate and reload speed for a short time, and if you score a critical hit with the action skill, so the Mantis Cannon, his effect doubles. This is important to take because we're not boosting fire rate and reload speed really anywhere else, which is in the blue tree, as you'll see in a second. So I put 5 points into there. We didn't take anything in the Art of War, mainly because, you know, the Plasma Cannon is doing enough damage already that you don't really need it. So I'd rather put a point into Sheer Will, which gives you increased action skill cooldown rate. When you score a critical hit, this increases that effect. So you only actually really need 1 point in this, especially if you're using the Dark Army, because each of the drones is going to be shooting out bullets and getting critical hits. Your cooldown rate is going to be pretty much reset to 5 seconds before your clone even disappears. And then we got 3 points into Eraser, because this is an absolutely amazing skill, but critical hits pierce through enemies. When you're freezing them and then going for critical hits, your bullets will sort of go through them as well. Now you'll notice that I didn't take the capstone here, Our Man Flint, which aiming down sights gives weapon damage bonus damage and automatically apply their status effect. I have tossed up whether to do it. I used to actually do this capstone, and I found I wanted the point elsewhere, mainly for the blue tree. So we actually haven't taken it. But as I said, you can use the spy class mod, and that'll give you a point into this skill anyway. From there, we've got the clone, which is the main skill tree from this one there. It's pretty standard. We've got 5 points into synchronicity. That gives us all the gun damage. We also have 5 points into borrowed time, giving us more duration. 5 points into Donnybrook, giving us a lot more damage as well. We've got 2 points into duct tape mod. You can increase this if you really want to and take some points out of, like, you know, Trick of the Light. If you want, you can basically just replace them in there. I just found that duct tape mod still isn't very good, mainly because there's some certain grenades that will still down you. Like I think the porcelain pipe bomb was one I was trying to use, and that grenade is actually really, really good, but it still actually wipes out the clone because of all the radiation splash damage. So I don't recommend having too much points in there. Then we've got 1 point into Old You. As I said before, survivability is a pretty decent concern with this build there. So while your clone is up, if you do go into a fight for your life, you can, you know, prop your your clone and get an instant second wind. If you're using the plasma cannon, you're pretty much plasma coil, sorry, you're pretty much going to get second winds anyway, but I felt like it was worth having a point in there. We're going to have 3 points in Supersonic Man, so each of the action skills that are active, you get increased movement speed. I mean, realistically, you're not getting the 24 of having the drone clone build, but you're still getting 12 for your clone itself. So I still recommend that you take it. We've got 1 point into Boom Enhance, and this gives you, you know, a bunch of different stacks for every grenade that's consumed by your clone. We've got 3 points into Trick of the Light to deal bonus cry damage to enemies that aren't targeting him. I find this is just good for mobbing. It actually happens probably more than what you would think, especially when you've got the clone, because what we picked on the clone is digital distribution. So if it takes health damage, the clone is active, a portion of that damage is shared to the clone is shared to the clone instead. That helps with survivability, and we've also just taken which one's real. So every time that you basically summon the clone or switch places with it, which, you know, I probably should do more, it allows enemies to target them a little bit more. So when enemies are targeting them, we can then use Trick of the Light to a lot more effect and get all that bonus damage. And then we just obviously have a point into Double Barrel, giving the clone our copy of our gun and giving them increased damage as well. And the last thing we wanted to do in the blue tree is we wanted to really hit seeing red, making sure that activating an action skill automatically activates all your kill skills. To be honest, that's why you really don't need to worry about, you know, getting good misfortune and death follows close, because realistically you're just shooting the mantis cannon so much that you're going to be having your kill skills up no matter what. You'll notice that we don't have all the same sort of kill skills as we used to. As I said before, fire rate is kind of taken up. The extra projectile isn't really that needed. It's a good skill, don't get me wrong, but I don't feel like it's super necessary to have on it. So without speccing down all the way, just so that we can use the clone, all we really wanted is to max out violet speed. I used to have 4 points in this and have the capstone on the purple tree done. To be honest, I found that I just preferred having the extra speed from it, and violet momentum obviously for all the gun damage. You only need 1 point in salvation, and that gives you life steal, so every time you do damage you get a portion of your health back. You don't need any more than that, don't let anyone tell you different. And 1 point into seeing red. So that is essentially the build. It is a lot of fun. I highly suggest that you make some edits to it and try out a few different things to yourself. As I said, I would probably change a few things. The first thing I'd probably change is the artifacts. I'd get like a victory rush, maybe a snowdrift victory rush with some better passive abilities on it as well, and just a better class mod as well. This one's not very good, but that's okay. Other than that, everything else is pretty much where it needs to be. We're going to show off some of the other weapons now by going to Athenas, mainly because it is my favorite map in the game. I really wish they did more on this planet, because the color palette, the way things were outlaid, this whole map, it's done really well. But you know, that can be a discussion video for another time, if and when we ever get to it. But let's go and show off some of the other weapons from it. Let's do. We'll start with the Dark Army, so you guys can see, without me really shooting it, what's it gonna look like if I summon a clone. So let's get the clone in here, and you'll kind of see, yeah, everything kind of disappears. You'll see all these dots. We would just swap him up there. And I just shoot the cannon every now and again, just because it's really fun and it pops all your kill skills. But yeah, you can see I'm not really doing anything. All the drones kind of do it for you. Of course, you still can do damage even when your clone isn't up. But you basically just run through maps with it. It's a lot of fun using the Dark Army. I just like having the army of drones. It sounds cool. Maybe I'll call this build Army of Drones, even though we use the plasma coil. We're not going to do that. I'm just going to call it Clone Cannon Zane, I think, which you would know from watching the video. Maybe we'll put on the light show next. So I'm sure you guys have used the light show. It's one of the easiest weapons to farm into DLC 3. So I highly recommend, if you don't have one, go get it, because you can get a nice anointed one pretty easy. So let's just, alright, calm down guys. Jeez. Some people are just in a real rush to get dead, you know?
Possible you picked the wrong battle.
Yeah, damn straight you picked the wrong battle. Seriously guys, if you just wait your turn, you'll all have a chance to get slaughtered by my hand. And let's show off the speed-loading Hellwalker in the next area. And then we'll go kill Trons. We need a good way to be able to do that as well. Let's pick out a new weapon. Yep. So everybody's dead. They're all dead. We might even kill Tromp with this, you know? Like, I know he's got a big fancy shield to cut through, but, like, if we can kill him with the speed loading Hellwalker, it'll just show, I guess, the power of this gun and this build. This gun is also great for cooldown because, yeah, you're kind of just hitting these crits. Perfect. Alrighty. So, let's go and kill the final boss. Well, not the final boss, but Trant, you know. Remember Trant? So, obviously this is not the weapon I would use to kill him quicker, but you can even see, like, once we get through his shield, he's gonna die so quick. Yeah, so that still wasn't bad. It's doable. I wouldn't use this, if I'm honest. Nah, we're good. Yeah, anyway, that's kind of the build. I recommend that you try it out. It is a lot of fun having, you know, basically, I guess, your twin brother, or twin Zanes, flying around, just absolutely smashing the living shit out of everything. It is a really fun build, and something that I suggest you try out. I won't be doing too much more Borderlands 3 content on the channel. I might do some sporadic videos every now and again, but I feel like we're going to be doing some Cyberpunk stuff as that comes out tomorrow, so keep an eye out on that. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a like, and let me know down in the comments below what you think of the build. Is it something that you would try yourself? Do you not like it? Do you like it? Is there any big concerns that you have in it or can see with it? As I said, it's not the most powerful, but let me know what you think of the build below. And if you really liked the channel, consider subscribing. That's been it for me, guys. Thank you very much, and good night.